Welcome back, y'all. It's time for another episode of Dress to Debate. In today's video, we're going to discuss one of the most loved and hated trends in DTI. Some people use it for literally every look, while other people think it's just flat out ugly. And then there's a third side that believes this trend is offensive. That's right, y'all. We're talking about the powdered donut face. Now, for those of y'all who have no idea what I'm talking about, the powdered donut face is a makeup style that is commonly used by Dress to Impress players, where you put a bunch of powder and highlighter on that contrasts with a darker skin tone. You'll normally see these types of makeup looks in pro and master servers, especially when someone makes an ethereal outfit. Players also commonly use the powdered donut face with beige or gray skin tones. Anyways, a few days ago, I made a community post asking everyone how they feel about the powdered donut face. 62% said they think it's cute, 36% said they don't like it, and 3% said it's offensive. Now, the reason I added the last option on the poll is because I've seen a lot of people debating this over on Reddit. While some people might not see it as offensive, it's still important to understand the perspective of people who do find it as offensive. So we'll talk about that later in the video. Before we start, please remember to be respectful in the comments. I know hearing opinions that differ from your own can sometimes be a bit jarring, but that's just human nature. We're always going to think differently from each other. Let's do our best to be civilized and constructive in the comments. Or in other words, keep it cute or you'll get the boot. Anyways, let's go ahead and start with the first section. So while researching, I try to find the very first post showing a powdered donut face or giving some type of tutorial, but no joke, the first videos I found are of people debating whether it's ugly or not. The earliest one I found was from November 21st of 2024, and it's by a creator named Zyra DTI. There's a few other videos around that time talking about the powdered donut face, so I'm thinking the trend started after the Halloween update, which makes sense since in the Halloween update there's a bunch of new custom makeup. Then in the Christmas update, a lot of the new contouring was super powdery and blushy. Now, I'm not sure who exactly started the trend, but if I have to guess, I'm gonna say probably a huge TikToker. If anyone knows who exactly started the trend, let me know. It's also possible some random person playing one day made this type of face and everyone followed suit. But anyways, moving on. As the months went by, more and more people started using the powdered donut face. Here are a few looks that I found while researching just to show as examples. Now, like I mentioned earlier, people have been debating whether it looks good or not since the beginning of the trend, so it's not a new discussion. However, in the past month or so, I've seen the topic blow up. Half of the posts are people arguing whether this type of makeup is actually good or not, and if people overuse it, and the other half are showing powdered donut faces that are questionable, which I believe this is the reason why the discussion has been everywhere recently. Since we have 3 different sides this time around, I'll start off by reading social media posts and community comments debating whether the powdered donut face is cute or ugly. And then in a separate section, we'll discuss why some black and brown people find it offensive. With that being said, let's start off with the next section. The first Reddit post is titled, "How do y'all feel about these types of faces?" And this is the image that was shown. One of the comments said, "The face itself is cute, but the highlight is just way too intense." The next comment said, "I don't understand this trend at all. It's only acceptable for Garu." And another comment says, "I love the powdered donut face so much. It's so pretty in my opinion. It's kind of sad how people hate it so much to a point where they vote you lower and call you a new model for a face." I also found a post under the DTI subreddit that's titled, "Unpopular opinion, powdered donut faces aren't that bad. Genuinely, I don't think they deserve the hate train. Like, they don't even look that bad." The first comment says, "In my opinion, I don't really like them because sometimes it's really powdery, but if it's kind of close to the skin tone, I accept it." The next comment says, "If it's subtle, it looks like a spotlight shining on the model's highlighter, which is pretty. But if there's too much contrast, it just makes the model look inhuman." As always, I'm gonna go ahead and keep my opinions until the end of the video, but let's go ahead and look at some community comments. Absolutely Amy commented, "Personally, it's not my cup of tea. I see it working with some outfits, but it's not suitable for all themes." Lena8689 commented, "I have a love-hate relationship with it. I think it's super cute when it's styled right, meaning it's not too white to the point it looks like someone threw a snowball at somebody's face. I enjoy making my face highlights a warm tan color because it makes my avatar's skin look significantly better than than just being one color. I have seen those quote-unquote experienced DTI players make their face highlights incredibly pale to the point you can barely see the other components of the makeup, and I personally find that unattractive. I've seen a lot of people say this, and I agree. If the powder makes your facial features disappear, then it's over. FX Hex commented, I like it because it breaks away from normal standards and lets people feel more creative with their different styles. Remember, Dress to Impress focuses on style. You're not forced to use the powdered donut face. People have choices. You're not physically forced to use something that isn't your specialty.
Exactly.
Soph Animates commented, if it's styled correctly, it's really cute. It's also pretty unique and would stand out from other faces. The only bad thing is I can definitely see it being overused. Pink Ghost commented, I like it. I don't really do it personally. I like to make soft makeup looks for the most part. I just hate when people put the highlighter over the nose. I get that's technically how you do your makeup in real life, but it looks really weird in DTI. Tina Mars 123 commented, personally, I love the powdered donut face because I think it just makes every outfit so much better. And somehow, whenever I use the powdered donut face, I get podium. Yeah, I do feel like the powdered donut face and ethereal outfits are the ones that usually get people podium. It sucks for people like me who have a simpler style.
That is so sad. I just have to win this competition.
Mia B8 commented, I feel like it depends. It looks great most of the time, but I see so many people use it for every theme, even more natural themes. That's something I've also noticed as well. Like, why is your face fully beat for the theme casual? What on earth is that? 869 commented. The real beef I have is those desaturated skin tones.
Better delete that.
But overall, I don't mind them at all. It's not my cup of tea, but usually people who do the powder face have a better mug than I do. Okay, so sometimes that is true, but sometimes I do feel like people use the powdered donut face as a cop-out. Wispy Woods commented, to be honest, I don't know if I like it or just want to fit in with the other top models. That's so relatable. That's literally me with ethereal outfits. And the last comment is from Melon81. I don't get it. I understand sometimes you want to add contrast, but you can make a lighter base without making my girl look like she just dove into a pile of no-no powder. To me, it looks unnatural, and a lot of the times it's paired with a colorless grayish skin. And that's pretty much it for this part of the debate. Now let's move on to the next section where we'll go over why some people find this offensive and read through different posts and comments regarding this issue. I'll start off by reading Reddit posts that I found where people explain why the powdered donut face is offensive. The first post says, it bothers me so much because I'm a woman of color and it literally looks like reverse blackface. As a black woman, I find it deeply disrespectful to my heritage. White faces on black skin, that sets me off every time. That's not what we look like. If you're trying to replicate a natural shine, you don't need to go full contrast mode. Just make it a little lighter than the skin tone. This is excessive, inaccurate, and honestly unnecessary. And here are the two images that were shown. I also found a couple of comments that went more into detail. The first comment says, it's usually done by people too lazy to learn how to actually create looks on dark skin. It sends a message, this look is beautiful because the face is white. Black skin tones are beautiful, you don't need a white face to make it pretty. The next comment says, I got crucified on this sub for pointing that out. People who chronically use the powdered donut face on dark skin for no reason are low-key colorists. It's not about creativity. If you're alt and create alt outfits, it's fine. I myself create those types of outfits. But when you do it for the aesthetic, exclusively on darker skin, and for any type of outfit too, it's just sus. Come on now. People immediately think it's a jab at alternative styles when it's nothing like that. We all know there's a lot of racism going on in the game, and this powdered donut thing is just an example. I actually found an example posted by someone on the Reddit that shows different alternative makeup worn by black people. This style of makeup is also commonly used in drag. The person who posted the image also made a Reddit post defending the powdered donut face, saying, people who dislike someone else's style never fails to let you know. It's cute, bro. It's definitely not conventional and you don't have to like it, but genuinely, why are we posting about this every single chance we get? You've got to be the lamest person to completely make fun of people for their style choices. We're not all the same, but to go as far as to accuse people of being shaming bad people simply because they exaggerate makeup is bizarre and irrational. Give it a rest for real, let people have their own style without being judged. And the last Reddit post that I'm gonna go ahead and read is titled, "Powdered Donut Face is an issue when it's this." I'm not a fan of the style, but I learned to appreciate it on themes that fit the style so well. Since it's so prevalent in the master servers, it's quick to grow on me and it's really pretty when done right. My issue is when people do stuff like this and then claim it as their style. I was playing in a master server and the theme was secretary, very human theme. This person turned up in literal black skin, white highlight, dressed up in secretary-esque clothing and called it a day. You can't excuse this as ethereal or whatnot because they dressed up in a very human clothing. So I called this person out for doing this and they claimed it was their personal style and it's art. They even keep trying to gaslight me, saying that their skin is gray and not black, as if it makes it better. In conclusion, powdered donut face is good when done right, but when it's stuff like this, it's just racist. And here's the photo where the OP recreated what they saw in the game. There's another post where someone shows what type of powdered donut face is considered okay. And these were the different styles shown. And they also showed a similar face for what is considered offensive. Another point I've seen people make is that some players who create characters with darker skin tones tend to use Eurocentric features. The biggest example being using a small pinched nose. I actually remember people making fun of the flared and bigger noses that DTI recently added, and I remember thinking it was odd to point and laugh at a nose just because it wasn't super small and pointed. Honestly, there's been so many instances of racism in the community, so I understand why some people feel skeptical about this trend, or even just find it offensive because of how much stuff has happened before. Before we move on, let's go ahead and read some community comments regarding this topic. Ari Keynes commented, "I kinda like it, but you need to do it properly. I don't like it when people make the highlight that bright. I'm personally brown myself, and even when I have darker colors on DTI, I don't make it donut white. I make it a light brown color. I think it's really unique and adds a touch to outfits." Angel X Nika commented, "I personally don't like it. Something about it just rubs me the wrong way, especially if it's bright highlight on top of dark skin. I don't know, I just don't like it. Maybe if the theme was something like goth or drag or anything similar, but other than that, it's just a no for me." And the final comment is from Solar. "I heavily dislike these faces, and most of the time, they can ruin the whole outfit for me. It irks me how the community isn't capable of ever doing dark skin tones justice, because it's either a face that has 10 whole shades lighter than the rest of the body. Truly, it's not that hard to style deeper skin tones. I don't think it's offensive, and yeah, that's some people's style, but no one can convince me it doesn't look tacky and suspicious. I'm not saying that it's necessarily a problem, but I'm noticing an unpleasant pattern." And with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the final verdict. So I feel like the powdered donut face can be a hit or miss, which is the same for most DTI trends. Depending on the theme, I feel like it's doing a little too much, but most of the time I feel like it's fine. Similar to what I said in the ethereal debate video, if the theme is sleepover and you got 100 different types of contour and powder on,
you're done. You're done.
But I will say, I personally love when people use this type of makeup for ethereal or creature outfits. It really helps bring the look together. Now, if I'm being 100% honest, I kinda suck at making powdered donut faces. But that's okay because it's not really my style. I can appreciate a good donut look, but it's just not for me. With that being said though, there have been a lot of times I've seen a powdered donut face and I just can't get behind it. Like if the powder's a couple shades lighter than the skin, but it contrasts well, then it's beautiful and I love it. But if it's straight up white powder, no tint or anything, hex code FFFFFF, and it's not being used for an alternative look, then it's not my cup of tea. And that's okay. I'm sure some people think my makeup is super basic and that's fine as well. Now, like someone mentioned earlier, I do think one reason we see it being used a lot is because of higher ranked models. If you go into a master server, you're most definitely going to see a minimum of 3 powdered donut faces. I know some people might not relate to this, but it does feel like there's a certain style that's expected when playing in a master server. Not always, but a lot of the time, if you don't have 55 skirts, 55 tops, 55 hairs, 55 patterns, and a super mega powdered face with gray skin, it's over, you're last place. Now regarding powdered donut faces being offensive, it really does depend on the intention, and there have been times that I've seen a face and I'm like, I don't know how to feel about this. So I do agree with people who say this trend has nuance. I don't think every single person who makes a powdered face with a darker skin skin tone is doing it with the intent of being offensive or trying to be colorist. I think a lot of players who make these types of faces have a certain type of style that's outside of the box. And then there's people who make these types of faces based on real life alternative looks. Everyone's reasons vary. However, there are definitely people who are not wanting to create a darker skin model without making their face lighter, which is incredibly harmful and offensive. Even outside of this debate, there's been issues of people voting down players who use darker skin tones, so I understand why black and brown people feel offended, considering there have been issues in the past that have shown certain parts of the community being racist. Overall, I feel like the powdered donut face can be really cute, but it has to be done right, specifically in a way that doesn't offend other players in the community. And I feel like it's very obvious when you're going too far. Anyways, thank y'all for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel about the powdered donut face. Do you love it or hate it? And if you find it offensive, please let me know in the comments as well. Okay, bye. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, bye. See you. Bye.